Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 437, The Accidental Tourist, Upper Intermediate. Lily was never one for grand gestures. She preferred the subtle, the quiet, the unnoticed. A shy smile, a gentle hand on her friend's arm, a heartfelt thank you whispered in the ear of a stranger who had held the door open for her. She was, in her own words, a tourist in her own life. She flitted from one experience to the next, observing, absorbing, but never truly committing, until she met him. He was a whirlwind, a hurricane of laughter and light, a kaleidoscope of colour in a world she saw in shades of grey. His name was Leo, and he was a whirlwind of energy, constantly moving, constantly talking, constantly making her laugh. He was everything she wasn't, everything she never thought she wanted. It started innocently enough. They met at a book signing, both drawn to the same author. He was animated, gesticulating wildly, quoting passages with a passion that was infectious. She was quiet, listening intently, her eyes fixed on the author, her heart captivated by the man beside her. "You seem to enjoy his work," he said with smile disarming. "You should check out his latest novel. It's a real page-turner." And then, without a second thought, he took her hand and wrote the title on a scrap of paper. Its touch sent a jolt of electricity through her, a feeling she had never experienced before. He was a force of nature, pulling her into his orbit, and she, for the first time, felt a longing for the unknown. Over the next few weeks they met at cafes, in parks, at art galleries and museums. He introduced her to new music, new foods, new ways of looking at the world. He was her guide, her confidant, her friend. One rainy afternoon they ended up huddled in a small, cosy bookstore, the scent of old paper and ink filling the air. They were both drawn to the same poetry book, their fingers brushing as they reached for it. "Do you want to share?" he asked, his eyes sparkling. She nodded, a silent agreement that echoed in the quiet of the bookstore. They sat side by side, reading aloud, their voices blending together, creating a symphony of words and emotions. He read about love and loss, about joy and sorrow, about the complexities of life. She listened, her heart pounding in her chest, her eyes fixed on him. That was the day she realized she was falling in love with him, falling hard and fast, head over heels. She wasn't sure how it happened. She had never felt this way before, but there he was in the flickering light of the bookstore, his eyes full of laughter, his smile the sunbeam that pierced through the clouds of her heart. He was her accidental tourist, the unexpected adventure she never knew she needed, and she was, finally, ready to embrace the journey. She took his hand, her fingers intertwined with his. It was the first time she had ever held his hand, and the electricity that surged through her was stronger than ever. "Leo," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I think I'm in love with you." He looked at her, his eyes wide with surprise, and then he smiled, a smile that lit up his entire face. "I've been waiting for you to say that," he said, his voice husky with emotion. And in that moment, in the quiet of the bookstore, under the watchful gaze of the dusty tomes, Lily knew she wasn't a tourist anymore. She had found her home, her anchor, her love. She had found Leo. Vocabulary notes. Flitted, verb, to move quickly and lightly from one place to another. Example, she flitted from one experience to the next, observing, absorbing, but never truly committing. Similar words, flutter, dart, skim, flit. Disarming, adjective, charming in making people feel relaxed and friendly. Example, his smile was disarming, making her feel comfortable and at ease. Similar words, charming, captivating, winning, engaging. Kaleidoscope, noun. A tube containing small pieces of coloured glass which produce patterns when rotated. Here it refers to a mixture of colours and patterns suggesting a vibrant and lively personality. Example: he was a kaleidoscope of colour in a world she saw in shades of grey. Similar words: multicoloured, vibrant, diverse. Variegated. Orbit, noun. The path an object takes around another object. Here it's used metaphorically to mean the sphere of influence of a person. Example: he was a force of nature, pulling her into his orbit, and she, for the first time, felt a longing for the unknown. Similar words: sphere, domain, realm, influence. Jolt, noun. A sudden, sharp shake or bump. Example: his touch sent a jolt of electricity through her, a feeling she had never experienced before. Similar words: shock, surge, jolt. Confidant, noun. A person you trust and tell your secrets to. Example: he was her guide, her confidant, her friend. Similar words: trusted friend, advisor, confidant. Husky, adjective. A voice that is rough and deep, often due to emotion. Example: he looked at her, his eyes wide with surprise, and then he smiled, a smile that lit up his entire face. "I've been waiting for you to say that," he said, his voice husky with emotion. Similar words: raspy, hoarse, gruff, rough. Anchor, noun. Something that provides stability or security. Example: she had found her home, her anchor, her love. Similar words: stability, foundation, support, mainstay. Story written by Gemini 1.5 Flash AI. Image created by Flux Pro Black Forest Labs AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Hello, this is Steve. If you enjoyed the story, please would you take the time to leave a meaningful comment and click on the like icon. If you want to know when the next story has been uploaded, please click on the notify bell icon to be notified. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tell your English learning friends so they can benefit too. Thank you.